I think I went through just about every emotion possible during that game. Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It's time for another review of another Oxford game. And today, the U's travelled away to Burton Albion. After the debacle of Saturday losing 4-0 to Peterborough, this is how Oxford lined up for this game. Only 2 changes from the side that ran out 4-0 losers in the last game. First of all, straight off the bat, Jamie Mackie was not in the squad. He had a family bereavement. I hope him and his family are okay. But the 2 changes Oxford did make. Marcus Brown is injured. Of course he is, just like every other player seems to be when they come to Oxford. So he was replaced by Nathan Holland, and Liam Kelly got his first start, coming into centre midfield for Alex Goran, trying to protect Goran from getting another booking so he'd be suspended for 2 games. I've got to admit, I don't really know too much about Burton Albion. This is how they lined up. I know they're a very solid squad. They don't really lose too many games, especially at the Pirelli Stadium. I think they're unbeaten in 6 there. They sit just behind Oxford in the table, so if they won this one, they'd have jumped ahead of Oxford. And just a very well-run club. They've had a few years recently where they were in the Championship. They've come down and consolidated in League One. They've kept hold of Nigel Clough. Of course they have. He's been there forever. And yeah, just a very well-run club, very solid time. You know this is going to be a very hard game for Oxford. Everybody will be looking for a reaction after the Peterborough game. I know the players have come out and said they were embarrassed by it. Carl Robinson has said they've been frank and open talks. They're going to increase the training load to try and sort of get through this February so that doesn't happen again. And we will see. Let's see if they put on an improved performance. It's a difficult one really, because in some ways they didn't. And in some ways they did. And I think at the end of it, coming back into the game twice and salvaging a point in the last minute always seems a lot better than if you lose a point in the last minute. So there's positives to take out of this Oxford performance for sure. And it wasn't a defeat. It ended up Burton Albion 2, Oxford United 2. However, things did not start well for Oxford in this game. We were very poor. We seem to have started a lot of games poorly now. We're slow starters in games. Going like, Blackpool took the lead against us. We weren't great against Newcastle. We weren't great against Peterborough. And in this one, Burton smelt blood early and they were pressing us high and forcing us into a lot of sloppy mistakes. I guess you're going to point back to tiredness, but that is something that's coming into Oxford's game now, is there are sloppy mistakes and we're losing the ball in poor areas. In fact, things were going absolutely terribly for Oxford. Liam Kelly, on about the 19th minute, goes down injured. So on his first start, he comes off with an injury, which looks like he could be out for several weeks now. So Goran has to come on, the guy we're trying to protect from getting 2 bookings. And lo and behold, a few minutes later, he does get booked. And so he's out for 2 games. Bloody wonderful. And then, of course, on top of all this misery, Burton went and opened the scoring. It was a poor goal to concede. The ball came out to Matty Taylor. He lost out. A bad touch. He lost out in midfield. Burton cut through us like a knife through butter. The ball came over to Aitkins. It looked like he'd wrong-footed Eastwood, but his shot clearly hit Rob Dickey when you look again and went into the bottom corner. Everything going wrong for Oxford United, and really you're sitting there and I'm sure every Oxford fan is just sort of cursing and miserable and going back to like the transfer, how we didn't sign anybody, and you're just sat in this really bad headspace because Oxford are on a really bad run of form when it was so good earlier on in the season, and you're just thinking, here's another game we've gone down in and we're not going to find a way back into it. And that sounds really negative, but that is the way I was generally thinking. I was thinking, as soon as Burton took the lead, I thought there was no way back for Oxford in this one. Not really a lot else happened in the first half, and Oxford got to half-time 1-0 down. But here is where I do have to give credit to Carl Robinson. The second half was a marked improvement from Oxford United. We were much better in the second half. We controlled the game a lot more. We controlled it with our passing. The only thing, and this is me being a broken record again, that was letting us down was the cutting edge. Oxford were quite content to sort of pass the ball around the defence and midfield and try and probe their way in. And Burton looked very comfortable just sitting back and sitting off it. And you're just sort of wondering, this is the sort of game, Carl, where you need to make a change to influence it. And he did. And he influenced it through Dan Adji as a really, really good substitution. I will just say, is this a substitution he would have made if Mackie was there? We will never know, but he was forced into it. Adji getting a good run out for once, getting like half an hour, and his impact was instant. So straight away with 2 strikers up there and with a pacey, strong striker like Adji, Burton had different problems to deal with. Adji kind of scored straight away after coming on, which made Robinson look even more like a genius. Taylor got the ball, he played it straight through to Adji, he was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he did just enough. The goalie got a pretty good stop on it. He'll probably be disappointed because it bobbled onto him and just bounced into the net. And Oxford were back in it. They were back in it at 1-1. We were controlling the game, and at that point you thought, surely there's only going to be one winner. But this is the way football is going for us lately. February is not being kind to us in any way, shape or form, and Burton were the ones who got the 3rd goal in this game. Sam Long is getting pelters, or was getting pelters on Twitter for this one, and I think that's a little bit harsh. It was a long ball out to the left-hand side for Jamie Murphy, and he's controlled the ball fantastically. His touch is exquisite. It's taken him inside of Long, so Long's like a little bit wrong-footed. He can't get back. Murphy gets to the edge of the box and just slammed it in the near post past Eastwood. Look, if you're looking at it from a defensive point of view, like we will do because Oxford conceded, you're always going to think every goal is avoidable. And yes, Long maybe could have been tighter, maybe people could have got closer to him to stop him from shooting. But if you look at it from a neutral point of view or a Burton point of view, that's a wonderful goal. If Oxford would have scored that goal, we'd been waxed and lyrical about whoever scored it. So let's cut Long a little bit of slack. It's not his fault he's had to play every game at right back since Cadden's gone away, and I'm sure he's feeling the tiredness just like a lot of the other players are. So 2-1 down, and again Oxford, we're back to like licking our wounds a bit, really, aren't we? We're back to feeling sorry for ourselves. We're back to thinking it's season over, nothing to look forward to, limping through the season, yada, yada, yada. And it looks like the gods are conspiring against us. When you see James Henry's chance he misses late on, well, he didn't miss it. It bounced to him about the penalty spot. He gets a really good connection on it. It goes in the bottom corner, and then seemingly out of nowhere, a Burton defender just comes across, gets his leg in the way, and it goes out for a corner. If you see James Henry's face, he is absolutely dumbfounded how that's not gone in and how the luck's going all against us. And it did seem that we were out of luck, but lo and behold, we score late, and we score from a set piece. What the hell's going on here? So a cross came in. It wasn't from the initial phase of the set piece. The goalie's like palmed it out to the right hand side. Alex Goran does really well actually to keep the ball alive. He gets it back into Dickey. Dickey kind of scuffs a shot forward, which wasn't going to go in because there were bodies on the line. But there's Matty Taylor. There's Matty boy. About 2 or 3 yards out to just get something on it, and it goes in the bottom corner. And it turns a disappointing 2-1 defeat into a creditable battling 2-2 draw. So where do we go from here? So if you look at things, on the balance of play, we were poor in the first half, Burton were good, and we were decent in the second half. So yes, a draw was probably a fair result. I'd actually probably say you saw the best and worst of both sides, really. I'd say Oxford did get much better as the game went on, and Burton, I felt they smelt blood early on, and I felt they really felt this was a game they could win. And then when they did take the lead, they just sat back and seemed to invite the pressure. Very different from how Peterborough went about it at the weekend, where they just were relentless and just kept going and going and going. So that's maybe like where the weaknesses of Burton are, is they're maybe not ruthless enough to go and take this game, because they'll definitely feel, having taken the lead twice, that this is a game they should have won too. But it does leave us feeling a little bit more optimistic than we did certainly at the start of the game, and certainly after Saturday. We go into Sunderland, which should be a massive game. There'll be a full house there, and it's a really exciting opportunity to hopefully get a win. But let's not forget that this squad is tired, and there are a lot of players still coming back from injuries. I have to look at people like Brannigan, at Henry, at Taylor. Are they playing half fit? I think they probably still are. And then you look at people like Holland. He's a young man still finding his way in the game. So he's going to be very inconsistent. Goran's now suspended for 2 games. So who do we bring into the midfield? Do we bring Moose in and then sit Moore in the back line? Then you look at the 2 fullbacks. They haven't had a rest either. Dickey hasn't had a rest. So there are a lot of worries when you look at the side like that. And you really just hope we can get through February and still kind of be intact of the playoffs. There's still a lot of games to go, And so even if we are like 5 or 6 points off, we can still make that back maybe when we get into a lighter schedule when we're playing just like 1 game a week. Also, I just want to say I'm so happy that Dan Adji got a run out. I think we've been calling out for that for weeks. He's something different. We needed a striker, but I'm sure Dan Adji was sitting there thinking when everybody was saying we didn't sign a striker, like, hello, I'm here. And it's nice to see Robinson, even if he was forced into doing it, actually using him and not treating him like a neighbour's dog that he has to once in a while take for a walk and just throws him on for 5 minutes to give him a run around. So all in all, I will say enjoy it, Oxford fans. It's nice when you always salvage something in the last minute. Sunderland is going to be an awesome game at the weekend. It should be a great atmosphere, and I'm sure the boys will be up for it and put in a good show. Kind of really sticking my neck on the line there. But that will do it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please hit that like button. And also, if you like the content on the channel, hit the subscribe button as well, and hit the notify bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I will be back very soon for another review, and remember, if you're looking for detailed football analysis, you're probably in the wrong place.